On to the latest from Indonesia's G20 presidency, where high-ranking delegates and ministers from G20 countries recently met in Washington, D.C. to discuss the global food crisis, which is putting hundreds of millions of people at risk of starvation. Now, as the chair of this year's G20 forums, Indonesian delegates reaffirmed that the G20 have already began numerous initiatives to help improve global food security. Threats over a global food crisis still looms large. In September, the United Nations warned that 345 million people are marching towards starvation. After problems caused by the pandemic, Russia's war in Ukraine has made the global food crisis even worse, as both Russia and Ukraine are some of the world's largest exporters of food. This year's G20 Forums has committed to solving this global food crisis. On the 11th of October, G20 ministers and delegates gathered in Washington for a joint finance and agriculture ministers meeting focusing on ensuring food security and global nutrition. In a press briefing after the meeting, Indonesia's Minister of Finance, Sri Mulyani, affirmed that Indonesia's G20 presidency has deployed all available means to solve the global food crisis, including through multilateral cooperation and numerous other initiatives.
In the meeting this morning, we discussed and reaffirmed our commitment to use all available policy tools to address the risk of food insecurity and cost of living pressures experienced by many countries. We support the need for increased cooperation to ensure coordinated global response to tackling food insecurity, and we also commit to working with other multilateral initiatives in this endeavor.
Such initiatives on food security launched by the G20 include the Global Agriculture and Food Security Program and the G20 Agricultural Market Information System, which monitors global food supplies and promotes international food policies. At the G20 joint ministers meeting, the World Bank also committed to providing $30 million in funding for projects related to food security and nutrition. G20 finance and agricultural ministers have also agreed to form a global funding scheme to help deal with the three priority issues in the food and agricultural sectors. Meanwhile, Indonesia's Minister of Agriculture, Syahrul Yassin Limpo, reaffirmed that Indonesia's G20 presidency has implemented a strategy to increase production capacity, suppress inflation, reduce imports, and increase food exports. This strategy is applied to several strategic food commodities to overcome problems that arise in the food agribusiness system in order to achieve efficiency and increase competitiveness.
Masalah financing, masalah funding, masalah pembiayaan pertanian harus dalam prioritas utama dan prioritas teratas oleh semua negara di dunia, termasuk lembaga-lembaga internasional, untuk turun bersama membackup program-program prioritas pertanian menghadapi krisis pangan.
Initiatives to solve the global food crisis that were created during Indonesia's G20 presidency will then be carried forward to India's G20 presidency in 2023. This includes the mapping of global policy responses towards food security, headed by the FAO and World Bank, and will be further consolidated in the future with inputs from technical experts and other related international organizations.